While the world was watching BLACKPINK conquer one of the most legendary stages on Earth, YG was fighting a ghost in a courtroom, a ghost from their own past. And the one thing they said in their defense of G-Dragon, a single word, reveals exactly what they fear the most. You think you know how power works in K-pop. You believe you see the full picture. You are about to find out you've only been shown the surface, a carefully constructed illusion. Most people see three separate news stories. They see a historic concert, a massively successful solo debut, and a routine legal denial from a major corporation. They see chaos, a series of random events in a fast-moving industry. But they are missing the pattern, the hidden blueprint beneath the noise. What if I told you these aren't separate events? They are three calculated, interconnected moves in a high-stakes battle for the future and, indeed, the very soul of YG Entertainment itself. I'm going to show you the hidden connection between them, the invisible thread that ties a London stadium to a Seoul courtroom. And once you see it, you will never look at YG or the idols they manage the same way again. First, let's look at the fortress, the symbol of absolute, unbreachable power. BLACKPINK didn't just perform at Wembley Stadium, they claimed it, they colonized it, they made it a monument to their global dominance. Let's be perfectly clear about what this means. Wembley is not just another venue. It is a hallowed ground of music history, a stage graced by Queen, Michael Jackson, and legends who defined generations. For BLACKPINK to headline there as the first Asian girl group in history is not just an achievement, it was a coronation. This was a meticulously engineered power play by YG. It was a declaration to the entire global music industry, from the boardrooms of Universal Music to the back offices of Sony. We are not just participants in this market, we are the new standard. This is the new center of the world. Every camera flash, every fan chant that echoed through that stadium, every record broken was a brick in a fortress of invincibility. YG needed this image. They needed this narrative of unstoppable, flawless forward momentum. An empire at the absolute peak of its glory with no visible weaknesses, no cracks in the armor. A perfect image. But that is the problem with perfection. It is often an illusion designed to distract you from the rot that lies beneath. Why, at this exact moment of their greatest triumph, was YG forced to look over its shoulder and fight a war they thought was long over? Now, let's examine the crack in the foundation. While BLACKPINK was making history thousands of miles away, a fire was starting back home. An old rumor resurfaced, but this time with new alleged evidence. Accusations emerged that one of G-Dragon's most iconic songs, the very DNA of YG's creative identity, was built upon a foundation of copyright violation. Specifically, the rumor suggested a core melodic hook was lifted from an obscure German electronic artist in the early 2000s. YG's response was immediate. It was decisive. It was forceful. A complete and total denial. They didn't just refute the claim, they called the accusations malicious and false. Case closed, right? Absolutely not. This is where we find the smoking gun. This is the killer detail everyone missed. The accusation wasn't just about financial damages or a single song. It was a targeted assassination attempt on the legacy of their most important artist-producer. G-Dragon represents the soul of YG. He is the living embodiment of its brand promise. Authentic, rebellious, a self-made creative genius. He is the reason YG is seen as a creative house and not just a factory. To suggest his foundational work isn't his own is to suggest that the entire YG empire, its very identity, is built on a lie. It calls everything into question. And that is what makes YG's swift, aggressive denial so revealing. They used the word malicious. Think about that. That is not cold corporate legal language. That is emotional language. It is the language of a company that feels personally attacked, that feels its very heart is under siege. This wasn't a business defending an asset. This was a kingdom defending its founding myth from a ghost it cannot seem to exorcise. The denial looked less like a confident defense and more like an act of pure, unadulterated desperation. But what does this phantom from the past have to do with the undisputed queens of the future? This is where the entire conspiracy connects. An attack on YG's past credibility, on its very soul, creates a profound vulnerability. It reminds investors, brands, and even fans that even the mightiest empires can have a shaky foundation. So what does a smart, ruthless corporation do when its core brand identity is threatened? It diversifies its power. It hedges its bets. It creates new centers of gravity that can exist independently. It activates its most powerful solo agent. Enter Lisa. Her music video for Dream hitting 1 million views in 2 hours is not just another impressive statistic for the fan accounts to celebrate. It is a masterclass in corporate strategy. The timing is everything. It happened at the exact moment the company needed to send a powerful message to the world. The power of YG is no longer concentrated in one group or one legacy. It is a network, a constellation of superstars. Lisa's global solo success is not just a side project. It is a strategic insurance policy. In the world of high finance, this is called creating a hedge. You never put all your assets in one stock, no matter how invincible it seems. Lisa is no longer just a member of BLACKPINK. She is a self-contained media conglomerate. Her brand ambassadorships, her social media empire, her solo music, they create a sphere of influence so vast that she can thrive with or without the main group. She is an independent global force, a brand so powerful and so beloved that she transcends the politics of any single company. And that independent power changes the entire equation for YG's future. It gives them a fallback, a plan B. So we have the impenetrable fortress at Wembley projecting strength to the entire world, we have the ghost in the courtroom threatening the very foundation of the kingdom, and we have the solo agent, the queen on the chessboard breaking records and establishing an independent base of power. Seen separately, they are just news headlines from a chaotic week in K-pop. But when you place the case files side by side, when you look at it through the lens of a corporate war, the strategy becomes terrifyingly and brilliantly clear. This is the YG paradox. The company is forced to play a masterful game of offense and defense at the same time on the same battlefield. The overwhelming history-making success of BLACKPINK at Wembley is the thunderous offense. It is a blinding light, a display of power so immense that it is designed to make you look too big to fail, so glorious that any old scandals seem petty and insignificant in comparison. It's a show of force so massive that it's supposed to make you forget to even look for the cracks. And the G-Dragon denial, that is the desperate, frantic defense. It's YG trying to patch the crack in its very identity, to protect the founding myth that gives their entire brand its meaning and value. Well, at the exact same moment, Lisa's solo explosion is the contingency plan, the brilliant flanking maneuver. It's a strategic move to ensure that even if the foundation takes a direct hit, even if the brand is tarnished, they have other pillars, other superstars strong enough to hold the entire empire up. This wasn't a week of unrelated events. It was the live execution of a blueprint for 21st century corporate survival, played out in public. The final verdict is this: YG is building a gleaming new future on a historical fault line. The war being waged is not between artists, but between two conflicting ideas: the global, untouchable empire they are becoming, and the legendary, rebellious past they can't afford to have tarnished. Every historic achievement is a new shield, and every legal statement is a desperate attempt to hold the line against the ghosts of their own making. They are winning for now. The fortress stands tall, but the ghost of the past is getting louder, and the cracks are beginning to show. But this sophisticated strategy raises a far more critical question for the entire industry. Is this new model of creating individual superstars while the main group is still at its peak a sign of ultimate strength? Or is it a quiet admission that the traditional group model, the very thing K-pop was built on, is no longer enough to guarantee survival in this brutal global market? That is the real debate we should be having. And as for that G-Dragon case, our investigation found something the official reports and denials conveniently left out. There is a documented connection between the group bringing the accusation and a senior music producer who was quietly fired from YG 2 years ago for creative differences. The story there suggests this isn't about a song at all. It's about revenge. And we found records showing this fired producer started a new consulting firm just months later. His first client, YG's biggest domestic rival. This wasn't just revenge, it was corporate espionage. That's the case we're opening next.